WWE, just like WWF, it just was not for a guy like me. There's plenty of other places to live out my passion, goals, dreams, love, desire for wrestling. So, you know, I don't just try to put all my eggs in one basket.
It's better that you spend your time on the independents, no matter what you do, as long as you're happy doing it, no matter, regardless if it's in the WWE or not, as long as you're happy doing it. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Exactly. It's living out utopia. You take a place like MK1 that's just got tons of guys who are willing to break their neck and try to step it up and try to be seen and everything. Well, you see a lot of burning passion and desire, guys that love doing what they're doing. It's just that there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And I try to tell when I see a spark in those guys, and I go, this guy's pretty good. It's just rough around the edges, needs ring time. I try to advise him, come down to the gym. You know, I'm wrestling around in that ring 4 or 5 nights of the week. And, you know, I'll do what I can for somebody. Right. I think I get more enjoyment out of trying to derail people from the same mistakes I made in the past. There came a point in time in 93, 94 where, you know, I remember a guy like Dave Meltzer was singing my praises, because back then there was no internet. The newsletters, the underground dirt sheets, as they call them in the business. And it seemed like back then that everybody wanted, you know, a piece of me, or, I don't know, can I curse on this thing? Just so that, you know, you can understand what I'm... no, it just seemed like at the time in 93, 94, that everybody wanted a piece of my crap. You know, that everybody, you know, just wanted to sing my praises. Yeah, wow, look at this guy. He's 19, 20 years old. He's new around here, and he's doing moonsaults and twisting corkscrews and all the stuff that I was watching that was unorthodox, all the stuff that I felt that everybody was doing that nobody else was doing in the business at the time. And if I continued to keep trying to believe that and believe that I was the greatest thing since sliced bread, I mean, that would have just tore my body up even faster. And I had left New Jersey in 94 anyway. But coming down to Memphis and doing the Southern style wrestling, you know, it would not have helped. So, you know, and not only that, there was a lot of the veterans down there that were like, you're doing that kind of stuff in the first and second match on the card. What are we going to top it with in the main event? At the time, I was just too young and cocky to listen and or slow down. It's just like the emphasis on, I just asked if I could curse. Okay, well, it's the emphasis on if I use one curse word, okay?
Okay.
And then it will have more emphasis because I'm not dropping the F-bomb or saying the S word like every other word. You know what I mean? If I say it, then, you know, one time it'll have much more emphasis on, well, it's the same way with wrestling. If I'm using 4 moonsaults, 4 twisting corkscrews, planches, and I'm using a swanton and all this stuff, every other move, who's going to care if I do it for a finish?
Right, right.
You see what I mean?
I understand what you mean.
It's the same mentality in the South as it is anywhere else. If, you know, you're doing that stuff from the get-go, is it going to matter?
Not
How
really.
much further on down the line? No, because they've already seen it 10 million times.
Right.
Oh, that looks just like the first moonsault he did.
Exactly.
What makes it any different now?
Okay, you got this wrestling school, right? I heard you talking to a bunch of them there in the background. Would you like to promote that, like your wrestling school, so if anyone in the area wants
Why not? I mean, it's a place where guys can get ring time. And it's a place where they look up on ecpw1.com, they look up on the website, and they see all these different bookings and all these different... Well, the guy that owns everything is the guy that I broke into. I told you the first time I came up here was 1991. Yeah. 1993 was when I settled down and decided this is the way to go, this is the route, this is the guy who I should give $3,000 to. And I mean, nowadays, he has the way financially, you know, put these young guys in the ring crew and that kind of stuff. And it's just a good place to get a foot in the door and to get around the environment of pro wrestling. And,
yeah.
You know, I try to plug the wrestling school because I tell guys, you need, when I say ring time, you need ring time. Nobody can expect this guy to just book you on his shows. And it's a very G-rated thing. It's a very family-oriented show.
Right.
87 North Beverwick Road in Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey. And, oh goodness, I can't remember the number off the top, but yeah, if you go to the website, you can see what I'm talking about. And you can see some of the big name wrestlers that come through there. And in the last 2 months, I've seen Tommy Dreamer, Raven, the Honky Tonk Man, Brutus Beefcake, right, Valentine. I intertwine them with guys like Nunzio, Little Guido, Crowbar works regularly there. So many of the names. And to some of today's New Age fans, tremendous talents like, I've gone to bat for him 1 billion times, talking about Bandito Jr., who I've went on record and said, this guy here is, honest to goodness, he's one of the most overlooked, one of the most underrated light heavyweight guys that are out there. But the reason I go to bat for someone like that is because for some reason or another, wrestling-wise or whatever, he just hasn't been able to get his foothold. He's been plenty of places, but for some reason or another, the success, which others deem a success in wrestling, is if you make it with the WWE, if you make it with TNA.
Yeah.
For some reason, that has just kind of eluded him. But his dreams are not to go there. His dreams are, he wants to be in Japan. He wants to go there. He wants to wrestle there.
Right.
And he's getting to fulfill that dream. So, to plug everybody that came, Nick Foley was there recently. Goodness, I'm trying to think. The throwbacks, you remember those guys, the WWE.
Yeah.
Jimmy Snuka himself has been on tons of shows. And, like I said, there's so many more names I could drop from yesteryear, like Bald Mahoney. They're more modern era, too. But, it's a combination of guys like that and younger guys breaking in, getting the rub. And I try to tell people all the time, your best way to get seen is do whatever you can. You're just going to have to let your ego take a back seat. You can be the champion in a high school gym in front of 35 people. Is it really going to make a difference to a guy like the Humpty Tom thing who's never seen you before?
Right.
It's eyes like that you want to catch for him to go and say, hey, this guy's a steady hand in wrestling. He's not that bad in the ring. You know what else?
What's that?
He's a steady hand. He hasn't asked for a whole lot of money. He's not going to complain when a promoter asks him to do anything. So it's stuff like that that I try to get over to people all the time.
Yeah. Promoters are half what's wrong with the business on a lot of different occasions. If they'd actually sit down and promote the events like you do, then they probably have a bit of success.
It's like I explained before. A lot of what is wrong with wrestling is, and I've told this to people several times when I've analyzed it, a lot of what's wrong is we ruin the business. Every time you turn around and a wrestler's killing his wife, killing himself, pedophile, they're in jail, all this other bullcrap that you always hear, all these horror stories, that does no good at all whatsoever for wrestling. And I know wrestling derives off the days of the carny, where, you con, unsuspecting people out of money, and that's pretty much its origin. But, in this day and age, everything's out there. The government could log on and see where the heck you've been on your computer. They know your browser. So, as much as we've evolved as people, it's all pretty much right out there for everybody.
Yeah. I understand what you mean there, and it's basically the days of where wrestling could trick you are long gone. Everybody knows it's a work to a certain extent, but people still watch it because they get enjoyment out of it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. My emotions, when I'm watching, look at the best of me. I watched a few of those Money in the Bank ladder matches that were just like, my goodness, look what Shelton Benjamin is doing to himself for the enjoyment of these people.
Yeah.
Because he's not doing that kind of stuff in a backyard somewhere in front of nobody. He's not doing that in, somewhere on the side of his house or a bunch of people on YouTube to see. He's doing it because of the people out there.
Yeah.
There's a world of difference. Hardcore wrestling is very passe, but when it was going through its cycle, how many smaller independents do we have with guys with no athletic ability that would just see stuff like what Shelton did, or see stuff like Mick Foley, which in my opinion, the best and worst thing that happened to wrestling, because nobody underlined what Mick Foley was trying to say. Mick Foley in his book says it over and over. If you read between the lines, and he directly said it. But it wasn't until he went to Dominic DeNucci's wrestling school that he started to get anywhere. and learn what to do, and especially what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know being young and ignorant, that's one thing, but it's another to not learn from your mistakes. And I think the best method that I tell guys about stuff and forgot to learn things is in all honesty, in all sincerity.
Yeah.
It's to tell them what not to do. I left out of New Jersey. I went to the Memphis territory, which was the only developmental place in the entire world for the WWF at the time. I didn't know what I was getting into. In all honesty.
Yeah.
I knew that had something to do with the WWF, but I didn't know that was like a training ground pretty much, and guys with contracts were coming there to sharpen up their skills to wrestle 6-7 nights of the week in front of fans all over the South, because they figured if they could wrestle in the South, it's that very basic Southern style, so much of the business is derived from. But if I could get anybody with any burning passion, settle down and listen and avoid all the mistakes, the classic mistakes that I made as I grew into an adult, I would love for each and every